do you define creativity?
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well.
I'm glad you came. Thank you for coming, by the way.
You're welcome, bro.
Because I was waiting for the pod because I wanted to. I don't know if you remember this, but you were actually the first person to give me my first official DJ drop.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Wow.
I was like 15, 16. I was home, like I saw everybody doing the mixtape game, EFN, like all my homies, Obscene, whatever. Everyone had drops, and I was just like a bedroom DJ at this point. I'm like, bro, but I stumbled upon your MySpace. I'm like, yo, this dude's from Miami, and like these crazy hood guys. Like, I don't know what this is, but like I fuck with it. And I'm like, back then you could, you find a contact, hit him up. Like I would find people's BlackBerry emails, like all this shit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna hit him up. He's from Miami. Maybe he'll just,
Yeah.
And I hit you up, and sure enough, like within like 2 days, you sent me a drop, and bro, I was so hyped, dude. Because imagine I'm like 16, 15, like just starting a DJ.
Yeah.
So it was like the first time somebody else said my name on like
audio.
Shit,
I'm happy I got to do that.
Yeah,
for you.
bro. So
cool.
I appreciate that. So it was dope that like you took the time to do that. Like I'm sure you were like hustling. Now like older, I'm like, damn, that was nice of him,
Yeah, you're more than welcome, bro. I'm glad I was able to not let you quit on your dream.
Yeah, literally, dude. I probably would have been butthurt like as a kid, like damn, dude. Not even like a fellow local Miami, like you know.
Damn, you said MySpace. Shout out to my top 8.
Yeah, dude, for real, bro. And it's funny because then not too long later, then they let you like put your own music and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I put like what was the record you had like probably around that was kind of popping on.
Clap your hands.
Clap your hands. I like. Ripped it, put it on the intro. I'm like, yo, Garcia, clap your hands. And like, I didn't even spun a party yet.
That's awesome, dude. Thanks, man.
So, yeah. So, funny enough, now it was a great transition, too. Like, obviously, I was first introduced to you as a rapper, local Miami rapper. But, like, what was that first spark of creativity? Was it music or what was it?
I think they went hand in hand with film and music. Like, growing up as a kid, my mom was always bumping Motown and Michael Jackson and Prince and those kind of artists and Madonna and well, that's not Motown, but Madonna and I was really then my stepfather at the time was into classic rock, and then one day as a kid I was really into Guns N' Roses. Like that was Guns N' Roses was like my whole world, right? I've seen them 9 times live.
Damn.
Yeah, I've seen I've seen them a lot. And one day my homeboy called me and was like, "Yo, you ever heard of hip hop?" And I was like, "What the fuck is that?" It was like 1987 or 88.
Never heard of
I know I'm
hip-hop.
aged. Yeah, that's where we were. Like it wasn't
That's
on the radio.
crazy.
He's like, "Yo, you gotta check this shit out." And he lent me his Public Enemy Fear of a Black Planet tape.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is. And I wrote my first rhyme that day. I wanted to do that. So I just found it really interesting the way Chuck D was like expressing himself lyrically. I had never heard anything like it. I mean, I've heard like Sugar Hill Gang and stuff, but to that extent of like Welcome to the Terror Dome and 911's a joke. I'm like, what do you say? So like this the cops, like holy crap. And at the same token, in high school, I started taking it more serious. So I was stacking my mom's lunch money. So she would give me like $3 a day. That's how old school was. It was $3 a day to buy lunch and shit.
I'm eating good with $3.
Yeah, I was chilling. Dog. I had the pizza, the fries, the whole deal. And but I didn't eat. So I kept the cash every day and saved up for studio time. And then once I did I've always had this kind of weird mind of like, everybody was recording on the 4-tracks or whatever equipment we had. I wanted to take it further. So I wanted to press the cassette single. And so I saved up all my money for the studio time and to shrink wrap it. And then I would like try to sell them around school. And that's what really got it. But then I needed a video too, right? So it's like, I started off with like my mom's credit card, buying me a little camera. And then when I turned 18, I got a credit card and I would go to Best Buy and buy a camera, but we would never keep the cameras. I would buy it, shoot something, and then go return it. Because I never wanted to spend the money on the camera because I was fucking cheap and broke.
Yeah.
So I would like buy the camera and I would tell my homeboy like, yo, hold the camera right here and shoot me. And then I would just I'd get the footage and like on Final Cut 1 or like Adobe Premiere 1 or whatever I was on at the time, edit the video and learn how to edit. And I started screenwriting because I was like, I want to take this further because I really liked movies. So I started screenwriting. I went to Miami-Dade I actually didn't go to Miami-Dade for music at all. I went for film. And learned how to screenwrite, learned the principles of directing, learned how to edit, and dropped out. Because to this day, I've never been asked for a degree. You know, like nobody cares in entertainment. Yeah, it's like, why am I going to drop all this money on
Take
school?
the camera, return it. Take the class of knowledge, drop out.
Drop out. Because there's no real like.
Yeah, especially for
I don't want to say that there's no real benefit to going to a film school. There is, if you go to the right film school.
Right.
You know, but like if you go to Miami-Dade, and by the way, alumni, I'm not knocking you guys, but like there's very few chances because I would like the degree honorary at this point. If you can give it to me, you can make my mom really proud. But there's, you know, when you're like in UCLA, those guys are going to be the next Spielbergs. They're really heavily connected. Yeah. You know, Miami-Dade, Miami at the time was a very small city. Film really wasn't coming out of here like that, with the exception of like Miami Vice or the occasional Scarface or like the Birdcage or whatever movie was being shot here. But it wasn't a really industry like that yet.
Right. You just needed to learn the basics and like get your footing.
Learn the grasp of it all. And then my music career started picking up. So I really focused on that first.
Damn, so you were doing that the whole time hand in hand. I always thought it was the music because you were so like heavily.
The MySpace days, all the crazy hood videos, that was me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so you learned before you started. You were able to utilize that like right away.
Yeah, EFN had the vision of we're going to make a website. We're going to put videos online. Nobody knew what the fuck that even meant. Yeah, like nobody knew what that looked like. I mean, we had like a Windows Media video player, you know, like embedded, and you had to like host all the videos. There was no YouTube yet, none of that, you know. So we were just kind of getting by and trying things and trying to operate on a real big level with very little money, you know. But we were able to garner enough buzz and noise, and you know, getting my songs on the radio was me being annoying. You know, like I would show, you could ask Lucy Lopez or Mr. Mauricio or even Khaled, like I would just hang out outside the radio station. Like I'm the reason they have gates. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk.
You're
like,
the guy.
Yeah, I would just sit there like, oh, Mauricio's coming off at 5 o'clock from Power 96. Cool, I'm away right in this parking lot. You know, or Zog, because I went to high school with Zog.
Oh, okay.
So I figured I went to high school, this guy's going to show me some love. But it wasn't that easy. I didn't understand the politics of a radio station,
which
right?
Which is good. You were kind of naive. You're just like...
You have to be naive, dog. You know, so... I would hang out in the parking lot and give him a CD that I burnt of this new freestyle. And at the time, it was real popular to hear the hit song on the radio and just grab the instrumental, rip it, and put it back on, you know? So I was doing that, and it still sometimes wouldn't get played. But like, no, I'll play it at the live broadcast. You know, because I used to do live club broadcasts.
Yeah.
So, really cool. It's like, where's it at? Club Zen? Cool. Show up at Club Zen. 10, live broadcast starts at 10. I'm there at 9:48. Me and you, bro. There's nobody in this club. You know, ain't nobody in Miami showing up to the club at 10 o'clock. So you just got to stare at me till you play this shit, bro. And then I'll get right out the booth. No big deal. And we would do that. You know, but we got the respect. And then one day, Khaled would never bend. Yeah. Ever. He never wanted to play anything. And one day he heard Clap Your Hands and was like, oh shit. And he just ran it. I'll never forget that night. I was walking down South Beach and they were like, he just texted me like, yo, turn on the radio right now.
Damn.
And he started like funk flex bomb dropping it and just ran it back like 20 times. And I was like, yo, it was a really good time. It was a really interesting time.
Nah, and people see that persistence and then they know like, okay, this guy's not messing around. Like he's serious. And then once you have a good product, obviously they're like, okay, let's do it.
You know, it's one of those things where, like you said, naivety, right? It's like, you gotta be naive. You got this thing that we're trying to do, whatever your dream is. Like, imagine the kid trying to go to the NBA. You know, what are you gonna tell a kid? Only 1% of the entire basketball population makes the NBA. That kid's gonna look at you and say, so I have a shot. You know, so it's like, because who's to say I'm not that guy?
Right.
You know, and I think the secret to winning in anything you do in life is, I mean, you can't fail till you quit. You know, like 80% of your competition is going to just drop out and fold. Yeah. You know, so you just got to keep grinding and a step and repeat, and never be completely satisfied with any of your work. You should always be looking at your work, gauging like, how could I have done this better? How could I have done this differently?
Yeah, it's like just staying in the pool long enough till everyone gets out.
Yeah, or you drown.
You drown or you're floating.
Yeah. I mean, but I also, you know, the film thing took off because in my 20s, without getting too over the top details, I was getting into a lot of trouble. You know, like I was, you know, and my kid knows this. I was going to jail. I was doing a lot of dumb shit. And I got faced with a situation where I was going to go away for a little bit of time. And I beat the case. And I was just like, yo, I can't be on the street no more. So I called Gil and asked him for a production assistant job. And I was picking up garbage on sets forever. Like, and it was weird because I would see like Khaled or like Ross and guys that knew me, and I'll be picking up the trash. I'd have to go give them coffee. And
because you were deeply trying to do this rap hustle. So now
I got
seeing
a
your
walkie-talkie
peers-
I got a walkie-talkie on me,
Yeah.
and I look like shit, and I'm handing you coffee. You
Because
know,
at that time they're your peers. They're
Yeah.
not what they are now.
no.
You know? So
And they were looking at me like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, here's your coffee requested." You know, or I'm like dragging J-Lo's luggage in front of Pitbull on a Pitbull shoot that J-Lo was doing with him, and
yeah.
I was just the assistant, and I just kept grinding and learning, but you know, while a bunch of the other guys were smoking weed, or because you could do a lot on a film set,
Right.
you know, like you could get missing really quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a hustle. So I was always behind the director, just watching him. And just watching him and watching him and watching him and listening. And then I started like driving the director, because I knew that the director and the producer would talk a lot of the business in the car. Because once they're on set, they're grinding. They can't work. So I would want to drive them to the meeting. I would stand behind them in the meeting and just be at their disposal. And I was just clocking information and knowledge, you know, learning from the ground level. You know, that was my film school. That was really my film school.
You're not gonna learn more than being on set.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's crazy that you're like able to be that humble and like put your ego aside, because like especially in the rap game in Miami, like you were, you know, hungry coming up, and then now you're getting people coffee. Like that's
But when you got a kid,
yeah, it changes.
everything changes, bro. It's like, yeah, you could be all gangster if you want, dude. But like the only thing that's ever scared me was not seeing my kid, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not with this shit. So not to be overly dramatic or weird.
No, but I completely understand. For
So
sure.
I was like, I'm not with none of this. I'm gonna get my shit together.
And if anything, I mean, you were at that point, you were probably more focused on the film, but like you could probably that benefited your rap game too, because you were around people more than if you were just at home pressing CDs or like making music. Now you're on sets, making connections, I'm sure.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I didn't want it anymore though.
Right.
You know,
I
didn't like the direction music was going in at the time. I didn't like what it was becoming. I didn't want to play the in front of the camera game. You know, I was already, my daughter was 2. I was getting into full-blown dad mode. I was 32 years old. I was in a nightclub every other night performing and rocking a stage, waking up with a hangover. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And I never really wanted to be like a 45-year-old rapper looking for a record deal. Like I never wanted to be that guy. And it's not to knock anybody that's doing
100%.
that. Please, like, don't take it that. I just didn't want that for myself.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had to grow. And I had to grow in every facet, artistically, the way I express myself, what I could add and contribute to the culture. I had to grow in a lot of different ways, artistically for myself, because I pride myself on not being a filmmaker, not being a rapper, but being just a general creative. Yeah, and a person. And if I don't have a creative outlet, like I slump into a massive depression, bro. Bad, real bad.
No, dude, I completely understand, and like I totally relate. Like even with my DJing, like there was a point where I was like, yo, I could keep going down this road and I could keep climbing, but is that what I really want? And then you realize like, yo, it's just I want to be able to create, and I think I'm not speaking for you, but like you feel like you have more to contribute in other ways because you've been in this game and hustling, that like there's more you can do than just like you said, like doing the grind. And yeah, maybe one day you make it, but then like, are you gonna be cool with like traveling every weekend, being away from your family, being up until 3 a.m, like so it's like for some people they love that and that's awesome, but for me, I was like, I feel like I could do more without doing all that.
Or you could do it from home.
Right.
You know, which is like, I'm still up till 2 a.m. a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And waking up back at 6 and only sleeping 4 hours. And, you know, a lot of the game, 99% of the job is looking for a job. Right. Yeah. And so it's like, so you're always hustling. It's the truth, dog. That's
the 1% is the fun part.
Yeah. You get 10% of the year where you're actually enjoying what you're doing. And the other 90% is figuring out how the fuck am I going to survive? Yeah. So that's the game. That's the grind. But I'm way more comfortable knowing I'm going to wake up next to my daughter. I'm going to see my daughter grow up. I'm going to be able to go to all the dance shows. I'm going to be able to like watch her mature and become a little woman and actually contribute to it versus just being like the guy she sees on Saturday. Yeah.
100%. No, and especially with like technology, like early on, I was able to understand like, yeah, there's things I'm also always going to have to be in person, that connection, like doing podcasts, whatever. But there's so much opportunity now. And like you could literally like the other day, my daughter was sleeping, my wife was sleeping, and I was up in the bed until like 2 a.m. working on shit. And like I think that's like the best fucking time ever to be working. Like your family's right there, everyone's safe, and you're just chilling on the computer.
Yeah, bro. It's like my daughter's sleeping next to a huge pit bull. Like she's safe. I'm cool. Like everybody's got a roof over their head. I'm on the iPad, or I'm on the laptop, or I'm editing, or I'm writing, or I'm thinking of a lot of my ideas hit me actually when I wake up, like right when I'm waking up. But and then I just take a quick note on my phone, or I'll dream something up, or when I'm exercising, that's when it all hit me. But yeah, it's the best. I'm at peace. I don't have to worry about some other factor external. There's always gonna be. How old's your kid?
She's 2 and like 4 months right now.
Congratulations, you're still a superhero.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like that. That's cute.
That's cute. That's cool, man. Yeah.
That's fun.
So yeah, mine's about to graduate high school. So
oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, it's wait.
Well, I mean, how do
hey brother, death comes for us all.
I'm looking forward to it. But how do you balance all that? Like, especially having all these ideas, having like, you need that creative outlet, but you know, there's other responsibilities. And then like he said, like sometimes we can go into a slump when it's just like, I'm not able to get this out, or I'm just not thinking on the right wavelength. Like, what do you do?
How do you balance which part? I'm sorry, is it the family life of it all and the responsibility, or the slump?
All of it. Dealing with that while you got to be showing up as a dad.
You ever heard this website called BetterHelp?
Dude, I signed up recently. Matter of fact, yeah.
There you go. This is they sponsor a lot of podcasts, right? We should do that right now.
Wow, that's a sign that I did the right thing.
Yeah, there you go. And welcome to our favorite part of the show. No,
that's crazy. Actually,
no, I mean it took a while. Like there was therapy involved for sure. There was therapy. The first thing I had to realize was it's not me. 99% of the problems going on in my life are self-inflicted. You know, 99% of the worry that I have in my life is shit I can't control anyway. You know, it's always self-inflicted. How do I handle and balancing the family stuff? Is you just got to look at yourself and go, what really fucking matters? You know, like dude, I had to go to my daughter's dance show on 305 Day. Like I don't really miss 305 Days. I think they're fun, but I wanted to go, but like, what's more important right now? You know, do I want to get drunk in Wynwood, or do I want to go see my kid dance? And what lasts longer? You know, like
that's what she's gonna remember.
Yeah, of course, right? And then the slumps are part of it, man. That's just, there's nothing you can do about that. Dog. As a creative, like that's just comes with the territory. I mean, it's not like I wake up in the morning and just ideas just fucking hit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. I mean, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're on this run and you're like, fuck, I'm invincible. You know, like, oh my God, every idea I have is a fucking genius stroke of idea.
Yeah.
And then there's months in between those times where you're just like, yo. Like I don't know what I'm looking at. It's all like squiggly lines on a wall. You know, like this is like my brain. You know what I'm saying? It's like a roadmap. It goes somewhere. I don't know where it goes. I think that's why I was attracted to it. I was like, oh, that's how I think.
Well, that's actually what he says. How it feels like his brain works.
Yeah. So how do you, I mean, you just got to stay patient with yourself and try not to overthink it. A lot of times now, what's really helped me recently is about 5 years ago, I started really taking my health a lot more serious. Not that I wasn't ever before, but like I really integrated exercise and how I eat and cooking from home and not to get over the top holistic, but I realized if I can't think of an idea for a music video pitch because I don't like the song, or the song isn't gravitating towards me, or I'm second guessing myself, which you know as a creative is huge. You know, I'll go for a run, or I'll ride my bike, or I'll hit the Peloton, or I'll go lift weights. And in the middle of it, I might be, oh shit. Or sometimes I'll just listen, like I'll be like, okay, I've heard the song a couple times. I kind of know what this song's about. And it's, you know, a Kodak Black record. All right, I'm going to go run to Chase and Sadis's Boiler Room. You know, and then I'm listening to dubstep, you know, or drum and bass the whole way through. And it's like, oh, fuck, I know what to do to this Kodak Black record. Thanks, dubstep, and I'm going to go back over here.
That's
you know,
how it is. It's crazy because it's like almost the most cliche things. Like, yo, you got to work out. You got to make sure you're getting sleep and make sure you're eating right. You're mental. But it's like, it's cliche for a reason. Like, it is what helps you get through those times that are like tough. Where you're just like showing up for yourself in a way. I
mean, look, 99% of the time it works every time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a 1% where it doesn't and shit, but it usually does work. Like it really, really does. I also think as a filmmaker, I'm really grateful that I didn't start my journey till my mid-30s because I got to live.
Right.
And what I mean by that is if you're gonna try to start telling stories, you know, because I just don't do music videos. I do narrative, I do all kinds of stuff. If you're gonna start trying to tell stories that prey into the human emotion, it's very hard to just come out the gate at 20 with no real life experience and do that. But in your mid 30s to your early 40s, you're still young enough to understand the 20-year-olds, but see it from a bigger lens and understand how human beings act, you know, and within each other, and figure out character arcs and write from experience. I think that's been very beneficial to me, of just being able to have real life experience. Like, you know, all my legal problems in my 20s, you know, substance abuse shit that I was doing in my 20s, and being a rapper and going on tour, partying like a rock star, hanging out with the girls, you know, living the Miami quote unquote life before cameras, like the real Miami life. You know, I'm not knocking you young guys, but you guys are all recorded. Like, you have no idea how dangerous it was before. Without the tapes, it was crazy. Having those experiences really helped me, A, learn from my mistakes, and B, be able to write, hopefully guide and drive a narrative that can influence a youth and possibly save a life, or inspire some kids to want to get behind the camera, or just make somebody feel. Like, one of my greatest memories was 5 years old watching Purple Rain.
Damn.
You know, in the theater. And damn, I'm really old. But watching fucking Purple Rain in the theater at like 5 or 6 years old, and my mom loving Prince but not knowing what the movie was about.
Right.
So, you know, she takes me to the theater. Prince is like beating the shit out of Apollonia, and Apollonia, he's throwing her in half naked to a lake, and, you know, he's smashing her from the back. And I'm like 5, like, whoa. You know, and my mom's like trying to cover my eyes, but she wouldn't leave the theater because she was so excited to watch it. Or like my mom keeping me home to watch Michael Jackson Thriller when it premiered on MTV. Like, I didn't have to go to school that day.
Wow.
It's like, no, you're gonna stay home. And she was so excited to see it. And I was like, yo, I don't know what's happening, but I want to make people feel like this.
Damn.
You know, because it's like really controlling the way she feels. It brings her so much joy.
Yeah.
You know? And to this day, she's like that. She'll watch White Lotus, and I don't even watch White Lotus. I heard it's great, but I don't have the time. But she's calling me every day, like, oh my God, the episode. She's so excited. Like, I love that thing of how people react to art, and art makes them feel.
Yeah. And through your storytelling, like, you're able to make someone feel like that's, I mean, there's rewards to the creative process, but like that's like probably one of the biggest ones, when like you make someone feel something that then they have a core memory at 5 years old. Yeah. Want to see Purple Rain and shit like that. Like,
so I could attribute so many experiences in my life to movies. Yeah. When they came out and the year they came out, like Juice, or being in the theater for Menace to Society, or watching Kids for the first time.
Wow, yeah.
Like, Kids was nuts, because Kids was like the soundtrack, dude. Like, I was like, yo, these guys are like, I know a lot of these guys. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my friends are like these dudes. We're fucked up, you know? So The Breakfast Club, you know, Titanic, even Titanic, you know, like I knew the phone call I made getting out that theater. You know, so
true, dude.
So it's like, I just
like
know
music and film. It's like, it was kind of
same shit.
Benchmarks.
I remember where I was when Tupac died. I was in the Taco Bell on 117th and Sunset in the drive-thru, coming home from a club, and they announced that he died, and I was like, oh fuck, he died.
That's crazy.
Wow. You know, I'm here like dressed in baggy jean shorts with a beeper on my hip, just like Tupac, with a wife beater. Like, I used to want to be like
Influence.
Tupac. You know, and I was like, holy shit. You know, or where Big Pun died, and we got that call, was in the Miami-Dade studio. Like, I attribute pop culture to almost like a beat sheet of my life and where I was at that point.
Yeah.
Not many people look at it like that, but I think that's
no, and I think it's like I think we've said it in here too. It's like, it's just the creative mind, where like because you remember those memories so vividly, that you can pinpoint where you were, instead of like, maybe, I mean, obviously like 9/11 and things like that you remember, but like culturally,
I know I was 9/11, that's for sure.
Yeah, culturally, those are like things that impacted you, so like you remember for sure. But even what you were saying earlier, like you have that perspective now, older, to tell stories that like resonate, but also like you lived. So I feel like I think about that sometimes too. Like, I never have FOMO of anything. Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but like,
yeah, I heard this great quote. It's like, think about, if you look back at everything you've ever accomplished in your life, you one point dreamed of it, and then, but you're still not happy. But you've always said, like, oh, well, if I get my first drop, I'll be happy. Yeah. You know, and it's like, is that really enough? No, now you want 20 drops. You know, I make my first music video, I'll be happy. I remember when I'm gonna get my first VMA for me. It was like, and then I got the VMA, and I was like, oh, cool. And fuck, my job just got a lot harder. You know, because now like the directors I'm bidding against are way bigger. You know, so now I'm on. Like, what do I do now? You know, so it's like all these things. Like, it's not the accomplishment to focus on. It's more the journey of just getting there, because I had way more fun creating the video that got me the award than, getting the award. You get the award. It's cool. It's on my desk right now. It's like on top of my mail and shit. It's cool.
And you hear like people that become like super successful, and as they get older and they climb the mountaintop, that's like when they're like the most, not depressed, but like they're like, damn, like I climbed the mountaintop and now I'm just like, now what? They missed when they were in the mailroom, or when they were like just scrapping by trying to find their next meal, like the grind.
I remember, like, one of the funnest times I ever had, one of my first trips with Crazy Hood, going to New York and being dead broke. But we were going to go to New York to open up for, I think, Karis One. And we were, like, really excited.
Yeah.
And I packed, like, 8 sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Like a fucking cooler, dog. Because I didn't want to spend no bread, because I had no fucking money.
On the plane?
No, in a car.
Oh,
it was like, we didn't have enough money. We drove that bitch, dog. 20 times. But that was a fucking fun trip, That's
the best,
yeah, dude, we're staying in a hotel in Boston, and, like, I wear a size 9 shoe, and heck, like, making fun of my feet. And they were just like, fuck it, like, because we all clown each other. Like, the Crazy Hood group chat is not for the weak. To this day, it's never been for the weak. But, like, those are the memories that I'm going to take with myself. I do not really vividly remember the actual Karis One show. I was there. There's no footage of it. I know I did a good job. The crowd reacted to me pretty well. Nothing monumental in my life happened that day. I had already opened up for Karis One.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of those things already. So that wasn't it. But I remember driving the 95, vividly, with a bunch of sandwiches in the car.
It's an experience.
Because I just didn't have the fucking money. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't tell them that I brought sandwiches. So when they found out, they were like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dog? Like, a McDonald's dollar menu is going to be your best friend right now.
Yeah, dude. I remember the first time visiting New York, I was actually with Roby. I had like my first DJ gig out there, and I'm like there, like eating a Lunchable for dinner before my gig. But just like that experience of bumming, like, in the slums, just grinding it out all the way in Queens, and taking a train to Manhattan to DJ. Like, I don't remember the gig, but I remember like the whole hustle of like, oh shit, I'm going to New York. Like, how am I gonna fucking pay for dinner and lunch? Like,
New York's expensive.
Yeah,
like, oh shit,
That's the. You were talking about the VMA. Like, how was that? Getting an award like that, was that like validating for you, or you said you were kind of like, all right, like, now what?
It was a really weird experience, because I did the video, and then COVID hit, and then the VMAs were virtual.
Oh, wow.
And, I didn't even want to do that video at first, which was funny, because some of my biggest hits were videos that I fought against doing initially, because shout out to my homie at Interscope, who I love to death, Vincenzo, but she called me, she said, do you want to write on MGK? She had already called me like 6 times, and I had written. So when you're a video director, if you don't know how the process works, they send you the music in advance, and you're writing what you think would be good for the video. And then you submit your concept, and then you're usually up against a pool of directors that they think might be right for the job. So they'll group you in a group of like 10 directors, and then 10 guys will bid, this is what I think the video should be. So when I got the brief, I was like, I've written for this guy like 5 times, and I really wanted to shoot him, because I grew up on Guns N' Roses. I grew up on 80s rock, and he was like the last thing that struck me as almost like a vintage 80s rock star. He's edgy. He's got the tattoos. He takes the shirt off. Like, he looks fucking cool. So I thought he'd be a great act for me, especially only doing rap videos at that point. I wanted to break out into different genres, because I listened to everything.
And he was in that movie, the Motley Crue movie, right? Or what was the?
I think that was a little bit after. But
okay.
I can't remember. But long story short, I was like, yo, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just say I don't give a fuck whatever they're emailing me. Sorry, V. I don't give a fuck whatever they're emailing me. I'm just gonna think of my own shit. So I just said I'm gonna write a video where I tape his mouth shut, and it's like the best hangover ever. And he went home with the wrong chick, and she's absolutely insane, and she does all the lyrics. And I wanted it to be what's her name? The girl from American Horror Story, Emma Roberts. So I was like, yeah. So I put Emma Roberts' name in it, but he was supposed to be dead. It was like Weekend at Bernie's at first.
Oh, right.
So I sent V the post, and I was like, I'm never gonna get this job, but it was a fun treatment, all right? At least I have it. I can recycle it for somebody later. And then I got a call like 2 days later, and I didn't know who the number was, and I pick up, and V just told me, yo, he may call you. I was like, whatever. I didn't think so. I got an 818 number, but I get a lot of calls from LA. So I pick up and say, yo, Mike. I'm like, who's this? He goes, the Gunna. I was like, what? You know? So I'm like, all right, cool. What's up, man? Machine Gun Kelly? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I like this concept, but I don't want to be dead. How do we figure it out where I'm not dead? So then that's where it became like the best hangover instead of like a weekend at Bernie's. And so that was kind of his input. And then he's like, oh, and by the way, take Emma Roberts out and put Megan Fox in.
Wow.
At the time, nobody knew that they were even friends, let alone seeing each other, let alone whatever they become. So I was like, you're going to get Megan Fox to do your music video? He was like, yeah.
Trust me.
He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just write her name in. I got it. And by the way, can you be here Friday? Dude, it was like Tuesday. I was like, wow. Yeah, but we haven't scouted, location scouted. No problem, bro. You got to figure it out. I was like, all right, fuck it, bro. So I just jumped on the fucking plane, went to LA, and did the video. And we had a fucking blast doing it. And he was super cool. Megan was amazing. And so was he. Easy to work with. Had a great time. Really small job, too. It was like very small in production scale. It was only like 10 people on the job. And when I got the first edit back, because I actually didn't cut that video. So when I got the first edit back, I told my editor, fuck, this is pretty good. And he was like, yeah. I said, well, I guess I'll see you at the VMAs as a joke.
Wow. And
then my agent called me about 3 months later, and she goes, yo, I think you just got nominated for a VMA. And then I was like, shut the fuck up.
That's
and she
crazy.
was like, no, like for real, like I'm getting the advance notices of who's going to be nominated, and you're going to be nominated. Oh, shit, cool. And V told me, if I get you this job, it better be your best video ever. I was like, I got you, V. You know, so long story short, COVID hits. VMAs are virtual. So I had always promised my daughter, if I ever get nominated for a VMA, you're going to be my date to the VMAs. And then it's virtual. Yeah. I was like, and you know, you don't get nominated for a VMA every fucking day, dog. It's very rare. So I was like, fuck. So we watched it on TV, but it was cool because I got to watch it with my daughter and my mother.
Oh, that's cool.
And so when I didn't think I was going to win. I was up against Lana Del Rey, dog. Like I was up against the fucking Strokes. Like there's no way I'm beating.
So many factors.
It's so much politics, but when they said my name, I literally was like, well, guys, you know, wait. You know, like I was already like,
already decided.
I was already decided it was over. You know, I was like, well, wait, what? Oh shit! And my daughter jumped on me, and it was a really nice day. You know,
that's awesome.
And then I thought my career would just take the fuck off, and it like totally really the other way I thought it was gonna go for a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, but I mean, it says like so much about both sides. Like in the beginning, you're like, like you weren't even thinking about doing that project. But it's always funny when you just like throw caution out the window. You're like, you know what? Since you don't really care, I'm gonna do it my way, and then boom, you nail it.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like as a creative, you could overthink a project to death and fuck the whole thing up, or you could just let your creative juices flow. You know, like tunnel vision. When I did tunnel vision for Kodak, I didn't know what the fuck Kodak was saying. I had no clue what he was saying. You know, so I like that's how. Do you know the story of how that came out?
No.
Oh man, like they sent me tunnel vision. Gil's the one who got me the job. Gil's calling me. I was production assisting for him or something, and I was still like I'm really low on the totem pole. And he's like, "Yo, there's this little small Kodak black job. You know who he is?" And I was a big fan of No Flocking, right? So I was like, "Yeah, I know No Flocking, but you can understand him on No Flocking." You know what I'm saying? So he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna send you to his," and he sends me tunnel vision. I'm like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like I didn't even like the song. You know, I was like, "Oh shit," but I need the money. You know, and it was my intro into another record label. So I was like, "All right." I'm gonna do it. I don't know what he's talking about, right? So I heard him say the line, "I told you N-words, I was gonna be that N-word." I thought he said, "I told you N-words, I wasn't gonna be your N-word." So my dumbass goes, "Oh, this song's about racism, I get it." Yeah.
You overthought.
Yeah. I was like, fuck, I know what to do. So I wrote this reverse racism concept where, have you seen the video? Where he's he's standing in front of burning crosses and hanging Ku Klux Klan members, dog. Like, it was crazy.
I might have seen that when it came out.
Yeah, and I had the white guy hunting the black guy. He's wearing a Make America Hate Again hat, and which, by the way, Trump bails him out, right? So it was like, it was pretty fun. Diss Trump and the whole thing and the whole shit. I made a whole political statement. I wrote in the treatment, I think it'd be really cool to make a political statement because it was like right before Trump took office.
Wow.
I think it'd be great with the country so divided to make this political statement.
And he probably wasn't thinking about that.
With a mumble rapper.
You wrote it like that?
Yeah, just like that. So Marcia St. Hubert, who I love at Atlantic, she's like the head of marketing over there. She calls me. She was like, "Oh, this is genius. We got to go like right now. Can you shoot this Friday?" Because Kodak said, "Well, Friday." He was on house arrest, so they had small windows with him. So I was like, "Yeah." I got my boy Eddie Angel's farm in Homestead, and went down to Homestead, and Kodak showed up for 3 hours. You know, it was no budget. Like we were buying wood from Home Depot, not realizing that the wood at Home Depot is treated, so it doesn't go on fire.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's just got to light up, dog. So I'm like, yo, let's test one of these things, and nothing's working. I'm like, fuck, what do we do? Because we built these huge crosses, and they're not going on fire. So my boy got a bunch of palm tree leaves, wrapped the palm tree leaves around them, and then went to the gas station and got like 5 gallons of diesel fuel. Threw the diesel fuel on top of the palm. Bro, that thing went up. Like,
Really shit.
And then we had my man Bertrand, who ended up becoming a big movie actor in it too. And it was lightning in a bottle. I woke up the next. I thought it was like whatever.
Yeah.
My career's over at Atlantic. This video sucks. And it came out, and my boy called me from New York because I tried not to look at like how my work is doing. That'll drive me nuts. So I can't do it. And my boy called me. He's like, "Yo," my boy Will in New York, who didn't know I did this video. Like, "Yo, are you the guy that did the Kodak video?" I'm like, "Fuck, you saw it?" He was like, "Yo, I'm at the barbershop. Everybody's talking about it." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah, you know you got like 4 million views already, right?"
Wow.
And I was like, in 13 hours? He was like, "Yeah, it's going pretty fucking crazy." I was like, "Oh shit." Now here's how my life changes after that. This is a mistake I learned from. I get hot-headed, right? I think I'm the shit now, right? Like I just did the hottest video on the block. Like that year I thought I was getting a VMA for sure, not realizing what was going on. Like there was way bigger videos than that.
Yeah.
And my boy Joe Boyd, who I love, and he'll confirm this at Atlantic, calls me and goes, "Yo, Mike, we want to do another one with you." I was like, "Cool." He's like, "Yo, we got this female rapper. She's just kind of coming up, but you know, I think you should fuck with her. But the budget's only 15 grand. I'm like, "Man, Joe, it's not enough money to fuck with me, man. You know, Joe, I got the hottest video out, man. You gotta give me a little more bread than this, right?" He's like, "All right, man, you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, cool." So that was Cardi B. Oops.
Yeah.
Like, my bad. I was like, sorry. But you know, Cardi doesn't know that because she's not in charge of getting the directors. But but it was Cardi. It was for Cardi and Offset Lick.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that treatment process, like, how does that work? Because like for those two that you said, like they're kind of hitting you up, and I wouldn't say last minute, but they're like you're putting a bid in for other directors. Are you doing that like not knowing if you're gonna get the job?
Yeah,
you don't get compensated for all that upfront work that like most people probably overlook as like, oh, that's just part of the game. Like, but that is like your brain and like you're putting this concept together. How are you gonna do it? How are you gonna execute it? Who's gonna be the team? And then like you might not even get it.
You might not even get it, and you got to do image search. It's not just writing a PDF.
Right.
You got to like lay that shit out like a real doc. So it's like almost like a PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
And you got to put all these images and style and tonality, and you could spend days. Well, now with AI, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But back then, we were spending days just on Google and Pinterest and Unsplash and anywhere that had free images that we could just find that kind of mirrored it. And then I didn't even know how to use Photoshop, so I had to teach myself Photoshop because. Like when I did Fast and Furious, I wanted Jack Harlow standing on a bus, and who the fuck has a video of a guy standing on a burning bus? So I was like, all right, this is not a riot, So I was like, all right, fuck, I gotta find a bus, flip it over, put it in a building, do all this crazy shit. So yeah, it's not fucking easy, and it takes days per treatment at the time.
Yeah, and then it's also like the risk of like.
And you might not get the job.
Might not get the job, but they might like, oh, that's a good idea. But let me give it to my boy right here. Maybe we could do something similar. Like,
no, they're pretty cool about that. They don't jack you. So and if they do jack you, they pay you.
Yeah,
they'll tell you we're gonna take this idea, and you got to shut. It's never really happened to me. I think there was one time where a very well-known director and me did something very similar to each other on the same video that we pitched. But there was also like a creative brief that went out.
Oh, okay.
So I can't really attack him for it. It's like great minds think alike. But yeah, no, look. You might not get the job is an understatement. You're probably not getting the job. Like for every video you've seen me do, which is probably well over 100 to 200 major label videos by now, I've probably been on 20,000, couple thousand videos by now. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it's like the first 10 years of my career was just literally writing treatments and just praying and praying and praying.
But I mean, it's reps, so at least it doesn't go to waste. It's like you're getting better.
Yeah, and the messed up part is like a lot of artists don't read. So like that took me a while to realize is like I'm wasting too much time writing and not enough time on the images. They want to look at the pictures and go, oh, that's what this looks like. All right, cool. I'm gonna do this. So, or you don't have the namesake that the artist wants to work with you, and like The bigger the name gets, the more reps you get, the more people are going to attract. And I really wouldn't worry if you're an up and coming director how good you are right now versus like just doing it and allowing yourself to fail. Even if it's not perfect, just put it out because you don't know what's perfect to somebody else, bro.
Exactly.
Like, I know people who fucking hate The Godfather. They think that's like the fucking greatest movie of all time. People like, I don't get it. I'm like, okay.
Too long.
Yeah, it's 3.5 hours. Like you don't know what's gonna work and what's not gonna work, and nobody does. This game is a bunch of fucking idiots that some guys get more lucky than others.
Literally.
And actually, I think that's Earth.
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't want to admit that, but sometimes it is like, yo, maybe you really are talented, but sometimes it's just like dumb luck. That's why it's like the old saying, like, if you keep showing up, luck, preparation meets opportunity. Mm-hmm. But it really is sometimes just like you're at the right place at the right time.
I mean, there's also what we're exposed to. There's a power that chooses what we're exposed to. Now with the internet, the playing field is kind of leveled, but even that is still kind of controlled, right? Like there's definitely a system. Yeah. And you could tell when the rapper goes from I don't want to be on the record label to I'm going to go independent. There's a definite decline of the rapper's career usually at that point. Very few rappers are Jay-Z that they can do what he did,
So, but how do you have like time for your own projects? I see you've been doing some of your own projects, but like, do you ever feel like you need to take time from getting that next job? Because like you said, 99% of the job is trying to get that next job, but then there is like, you are the talent yourself. Like you have stories, you have your brain that you could put things out. Like, how do you kind of go out about that?
Well, that's part of getting the next job. That's just part of it. What I'm supposed to tell you, I'm a painter, and then you're like, you just trust me, so you're let me paint the house, or I'm gonna paint the houses. Sometimes you got to paint the house for free to prove to the guy you can paint the house. So like you got to just keep fucking grinding it out. So when I'm not working, I'm writing, and then I come up with psychotic ass concepts, and I'll just go do a short. Like I was preaching to the last one I did is called Life with Burn Biz. And it came out of a conversation that I was frustrated that one day I spent the whole day with a bunch of people around me. Nobody was looking up. Everybody was on their phone the whole time. And I was like, God, nobody looks up. We're all just like slaves to the phone. So I just kind of wrote this long ass monologue because I'll do creative writing just to express myself sometimes. I was like, oh, I could turn this into a short and call it Burn Biz from Mayday and my homie Grace. And they came out and they did it. And I did the voiceover. I just did and I did that one on the iPhone on purpose because I had just finished a help program for students, younger kids that I do in the summer. And I'm sitting there telling these kids at New World and at the United Way, oh, you want to be a film director? Cool. You have a phone in your pocket. Go shoot. And realizing I'd never done that. Yeah. So what kind of advice am I giving these kids? So I want to see what it was like. So I went back to my old school roots. I got my phone. I got a little bit of accessories on Amazon because I have an Amazon credit card, right? And I got the ND filters and a couple of things on Amazon. Bought the microphones and everything, did everything my fucking self with my boy Jonathan Franklin. There was two of us. We had a tripod, no lights, and an iPhone. We just had to time out the sun and go back to our roots. And then when it was all over, I returned everything. Because I'm cheap and I'm stupid.
And Amazon has a good return policy.
Yeah, I got another one coming out right now that I'm really proud of this one. I just did it 2 weeks ago. It's being colored now, but it's starring Sofla.
Oh. Awesome.
And he fucking smoked it. And my homeboy Mateo, that's a stand-up comedian, and it's about a guy's paranoid. He's late to work and he's terrified of roaches. So when he walks out the bedroom, there's a fucking palmetto bug in the hallway and he can't get out because he's terrified. So what happens after that is just absolutely bonkers of how he tries to get out of it. And I'm really excited about that one, but I'm really scared of roaches. So like one day I was like, yo, what would happen if there was a palmetto bug in my hallway right now? And I was just hanging with my boy and we had this long riff of a conversation of like what I would, to the extent I would go to, because I made it to him back in the day when I was living with my girlfriend before. I would come home, see a roach. I would call him like, there's a roach in the house. Come kill it. I'll come back. And I would just fucking leave and shit, So that's how this conversation, she started cracking up, basically calling me a pussy, which I probably am. And that's how I came up with this concept called roommates, because he's roommates with the roach.
Wow. But it's dope too, because sometimes like those are the ones that you never know. Like you said earlier, they might pop off. And also you're able to get that idea out of your head. And I feel like that's satisfying in its own. Like you had an idea, you had a phone call with your homie about roaches and you're like, fuck it, let's shoot this shit.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. I don't go into anything going this may pop off.
Mm.
I think that's a bad way. And I'm not trying to make it serious. I'm just saying, I think that's a bad way to look at anything, because then you're just destined for disappointment.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you, like, you just answer me, but like, when you go into making something, are you ever thinking about like satisfying the algorithm, or like, how can I, like, all right, let me just add this so that I know this might pop off, or are you just like, yo, this is what I want to do, I don't care who sees it?
I think very early on in my career I did that. And then you realize, especially with music videos, right? Because there's marketing directors, and you got to study the artist and what the artist has done, and what the artist is about and how he looks. You know, what may work for Busta Rhymes might not work for Kodak Black, which may not work for BB Rexa. You know, so you got to really understand what their messaging is and their color palettes, and then you go, okay, cool, I think this will work for this market because of this. That's not art.
Yeah,
that's business.
So true.
That's business. That's not creative. That's just fucking putting 3 dots against the wall and go, well, this does this, does this, does this, and this guy here is gonna like it. And you can't predict what this guy's gonna like, dude. You know, so I mean, fucking Kodak Black, I put him in front of burning crosses with Ku Klux Klan members hanging. It was his biggest video to date. You know, and this is him after 20,000 videos in the hood and donks. You know, so you don't know what's gonna work. What I do, but through trial and error, because I was guilty of it for a very long time, through trial and error, I realized I'm not going to try to appease the audience so much as I am going to try to appease myself, and really just see my vision all the way through. And then when you have it all the way through sought out, then you can have an intelligent conversation of, I don't think this works. I think this works, and here's why. But you can't gauge taste. Taste is always changing. You know, like the biggest hit TV show right now is TikTok. You know, like it's, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't fucking know. It's bigger than Breaking Bad ever was. So it's like Game of Thrones ain't got shit on TikTok. You know, so it's like,
and I think a lot of people do what you said, like try to appease the audience or certain people that like are paying them or whatever the case is, because then at the end of the day, you could always in the back of your head be like, oh, but it didn't work because like I should have gone with my shit. Mm-hmm. But going with your original vision and your creative ideas is like the most vulnerable, because then it's like, if this Kodak Black shit don't work, I'm like, it's on me.
It's on me, yeah. But I got a statement out. I wanted to make the statement at the time, something I was passionate about. I used him as a vessel, and it worked. You know, I look at artists actually like MGK, that coming off of being a really, really good rapper and going into alternative emo punk. You know, and I thought pop punk for MGK is weird, but it takes balls, because that's what he wanted to do, and he's not scared to express himself. So I think that's fucking cool. You know, and I think that's what all artists should do, because we never. Bro, if you're still doing today what you were doing 20 years ago, you suck. You know what I'm saying? You are not growing as a human being. And that could be in any facet of your life. You know, like, when we were 20, we all liked McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't go near McDonald's right now, you know, unless I had to, if I was dying. Right. You know, and I like Big Macs and shit, but like, I just don't want, I do. Like, but I just understand, like, this isn't really good for me, you know? So we have to all grow artistically. And I think, you know, back to your point, trying to appease the audience is a mistake, because I've never had a job where I've tried to do that satisfied me, ever. You know, the jobs that satisfy me are the ones that I go, fuck, that was fucking cool. I also don't read YouTube comments, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's smart.
Yeah, I try not to, dog.
But it's
some fucking 5-year-old.
You know? No, especially like a Kodak Black video like that, like you're gonna get a lot of comments.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Dog, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But then it's on the flip side, it's like when it does work and people love it, then it's like, yeah, like I executed what I saw in my head, so then that gives you the confidence. It's like you're able to stand on your business. Like, it's not just some shit, like, because you could also blame it on a positive, like, damn, I listened to these people because they told me this would probably be a good idea, and now like maybe that's why it was successful.
Yeah.
So I think it works both ways.
But I've never been scared to fail either. I've failed 90% of the shit I've tried to do. You fail, but you, like, I think Jay-Z said it, right? You only gotta be right once. You know?
100%.
Then what do? I've been right a couple of times recently. I didn't know what to do. So now I'm trying to figure out what I do now and the next thing. It's like, I have a couple of things in the fire now that I'm like, okay, if this hits, I know what to do now because of my past mistakes. You know,
100%. Do you think there's like Miami, like a film scene, like a hub now more than ever?
100%. Yeah. There's a lot of really talented directors out here. Shout out to my man and mentor Gil Green. You know, David Rousseau. There's a lot of us, Angel Beretta. There's a lot of really great directors and up and coming filmmakers that Marco Mall from Florida Film House, shout out to you for sure, that are really banding together. And it's not like the early 2000s was weird because it was like this crabs in a barrel mentality in Miami. And I think the internet has like kind of leveled that playing field where people understand like there's a positive in working together.
Yeah.
Especially in film. Like film isn't like being a DJ or a rapper where I could grab my laptop, get a microphone, put a sock over it and jump in my closet and I have an album because my homeboy emailed me some beats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just go on Pro Tools, put a couple plugins and I'm good. Like, no, like film doesn't work like that. It takes a village. There's a lot of people that you have to hire up. You have to get people that are like-minded and it's a thankless job unless you're the director, right?
Yeah.
But that thanks that I get, like, yo, you got to be able to take. It's like being the quarterback of an NFL team. When this shit goes wrong, don't nobody cares who the fucking defensive end coach was. It's your fault, dog. So it's like nobody cares who my gaffer is, dude.
Yeah,
it's my fault because I'm the last stop of saying I approve this image or I don't. So it's taste. And you build that taste through muscle memory. You build that taste through the repetitions. You build that taste. I'm like an old dude, right? You build that taste by going to the movies. I'm like, I have the AMC app. Every time that I have a couple hours off, I go to the movies and I sit there at 12 noon with the other old guys and I just watch movies by myself. Yeah, man, matinee, 12 o'clock, dog. AMC 18, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, Coral Way. You know what I'm saying? So,
I love that, dude. Yeah, like it's funny because some people, it's hard for people to like sit down and do that. That is work. And sometimes you think like, oh, I'm just here like on Netflix watching this or like going to the movie theaters. But you gotta like you said, you gotta grow. You gotta develop your palate. You gotta see new things. You see a French film that like maybe is different than the usual stuff you watch that could influence a music video or vice versa. Like,
fuck, doesn't even have to be that fucking highbrow, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yo, go watch a stupid ass comedy. Yeah. Watch everything. Watch, because you don't know where your taste goes.
Dude, I was watching the Three Stooges the other day.
It's fucking great.
I'm like, bro, this is classic stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's some shit we could be doing like this.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Like, go watch everything, dude. Like, yo, I like Coming to America.
Classic.
You know what I'm saying? As much as I like Shawshank Redemption. Like, they're like, you know, it doesn't have to be that serious. And I think, you know, the biggest evolvement I've made in my entire artistic journey is I've learned to stop being an asshole when watching television and film around other people. Because, yo, like my girlfriend, like it's hard sometimes when she's watching the shit she watches.
You like the YouTube comments, but
yo, like, oh live. God, like I know it's trash, and you know, and I could point out so many holes in the story and what that's doing wrong. But she doesn't fucking care. She's entertained. So why am I gonna ruin the experience? You know, like now I gotta just suck it up and be like, all right, well, you know, like she's cool. Like we're gonna hang out later. That's my boo, so I gotta chill and like not be a fucking dick. But you know, it's really easy to like. You know, when I was a PA, I worked on the Kardashians. It's like easy for me to watch her watch the Kardashians and go, yo, let me tell you the real story of how this shit fucking goes down over there. This is all fucking like we were watching Mr. Beast's games, which by the way is a phenomenal show. The shit is fucking awesome, right? Like I had legit anxiety watching that show. I was like, yo, this is a great game show. But I know how they cast these things.
Right.
You know, they're literally going to put you guys in a room, give you a little psychological interview, and figure out who is the most disruptive, argumentative person they can get in the room because it makes for great television. Like, they're not doing Bad Girls Club with a bunch of nice girls. They want the girls going to knock somebody out on camera and not give a fuck.
And you're trying to like break this down to your girl.
And I'm trying to tell her. She's like, man, I don't care. I just want to see if the guy gets the $5 million. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I've learned to like shut the fuck up and just be like, all right, it's not for everybody to have to.
Turn your brain off for a little
Not everybody cares.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Only, yo, bro. So I tell people, shoot on the iPhone. I don't care. I've never gone to a movie that's with a person that's not a filmmaker and then go, yo, what camera did they shoot that on? Right. No one fucking cares. And like, we care. Yeah. Because we want the best image possible. But at the core essence, people are invested in the story. Mm-hmm. Like you watch the movie Kids. Kids is shot like shit. Like Kids does not look good. It's supposed to be feel like I thought it was a documentary almost. Yeah. I was like, this is like a doc. It's not shot like a regular cinematic feature. So I love that movie because I really like the writing. The characters are fucking phenomenal. Clerks is very simple, but the characters are fucking phenomenal. So you don't have to go over the top all the time. Yo, and I've seen movies that have $400 million behind them and they flop because the story just sucks. Yeah. So it always starts with the writing, not the camera, not how many lights you have. Just go shoot. And eventually you'll start building into what you think you want. And don't chase the camera game. There's a new camera coming out every 6 months. Your camera's not that old.
Damn, that's super true. I think it goes once you're like deep in the game, you start thinking like, oh, that guy has this or that guy, or like I might need. it'll be better if I do this, but it's just like little excuses you're telling yourself.
Yeah, bro, I've done the dick swinging camera thing, dude. Yeah, because you ever see like photographers get around each other and shit? Like
That's so true, dude. I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah, dog. It's like I come out with the 5D. My boy's like, "Oh, you got the 5D? Yeah, I got the 5D Mark III. You know what I'm saying? Oh, your shit does 24 frames. Yeah, my shit does 60. Oh, my shit does 62. Oh, my shit does 120. You're like, fuck, dog. So then I got to go back to Best Buy, figure out, put some other shit on a credit card.
Funny.
Oh, you got the 7200. I got the 70 to 2000. You're like, oh, bro, like why, dog? So it's
What's funny is
I don't even see that deep into the poor.
what's funny is I was like subconscious, like when we're setting up, like damn, hope like all these cameras are like fucking on point. Like I don't want to think they're like we're running some fugazi shit out here.
I didn't even look. Like I was like, oh, cool. He's got a wooden camera grip. Like that's all I got. Like I was impressed by the grip, not the gear. Yo, almost every camera does the same fucking shit.
So true,
it captures
dude.
a bunch of pixels, creates 24 frames in a second, which he lines up to make a video, and you're gonna get S-Log, C-Log, or RAW, and then you can put that in DaVinci, and if you lit it right, you'll be able to color it. Okay, it's not rocket science.
Shoot on your iPhone.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, get the Blackmagic app on your iPhone. I've done shots in my music video on an iPhone that you could not fucking tell.
Wow.
You know, like that. I mean, they're quick shots. You know, but like, I'll have the Arri Alexa $80,000 beast of a camera, and I got to put the camera like in this weird area of a car that it doesn't fit. I just put the iPhone there because the shot's lasting 2 seconds, and I get my colorist Julia, who's like a fucking guru in DaVinci, and just makes it look good, and it works, no problem. Yeah, like, yo, if you know what you're doing, like, and the other way you can learn what to do is by doing it.
Right. Just go out there and do it.
Yeah, if you don't feel strongly about it, don't put it out, but still do it.
Learn, yeah.
Because if you're really about this shit, you got to do it. If you're not really about this shit, get the fuck out of the way, because there's people really about this shit trying to move forward, dog, and you're in the fucking way. Get out of my way. Stop talking to me. So I get so neurotic about this shit. Like, stop talking to me about your project. Don't tell me what you're going to... I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me about your screenplay. You got it written? Cool. You don't have a screenplay, dog.
Yeah.
Go write it. Then shoot it to me. I'll gladly read it. Because I like reading people's work. I want to see what's out there. I want to support it. You know, you made an indie film? Cool. When's it screening? Let me go to the theater. If you're going to do it in a theater, send me the YouTube link. I'll gladly watch it. Don't tell me about a concept you want to do.
Yeah.
Go do it. Because, yo, in today's society, there's no reason why we can't. You want to make a podcast? You can't afford this beautiful setup that you guys have here? Go on Riverside, get a fucking iPad.
That's how we started.
That's how I start.
Right.
You know, like when I interview other filmmakers for my YouTube channel, these guys live all over the world. You think I'm going to pay money to go film myself? Fuck that. Like, put my daughter's makeup light on the table. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. That's her little makeup light. I just put it to my table, put it here, kind of shift it to the side so I look like like I'm glowing in the sun. And I just put my laptop camera on.
Doing it.
Whatever. You know, I bought an $80 mic off Amazon. I'll probably return it.
Until next season, we're returning.
Yeah, bro. Facts, dog.
I love that, dude. Well, yo, I'll leave you with this last question. Your return.
Sorry, dog. Why am I like this, bro?
Hey, you haven't changed, dude. That's full circle right there.
That's the beauty. Now, real quick
ahead,
before you give me your last thought. That's the beauty about art. I get to be a kid for a living, dog.
Never grow up.
Why? That shit sucks. Like, I'd rather just die young, dog. Like, and die young at 80 is what I'm saying. Or die young at 90. Like, I want to be. Me and Sophia were talking about the other day that to our kid, my daughter's my best friend. She's 17. Like, and she's always been like my buddy kid. Like, I can't wait to talk to her when she gets out of school. Like, I get to know what's going on, what's the new slang and shit. Like, she keeps me hip. She keeps me fresh. You know, she checks me when I'm. Yeah, dude. She keeps me. Yeah, I mean, yeah. She keeps me swell, dude. You know. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, it's fun though. I get to know all her friends, you know, and it's funny because my daughter, like, I can tell her I'm working with anybody, and she'll be like, "Oh, that's cool." Yeah, she don't give a fuck. I'm just dad, you know. Which I think is, she don't care. Like, yo, when I did the Polo G video, I thought that was gonna knock her socks off. Her boyfriend was like, "You did Polo G," and I'm like, "Yeah." Oh, you know, and egotistically, that's cool, right? Because it's the little kid. You think it's cool, right? Yeah. I'm the cool dad. Yeah. I'm not the accountant. See, Bob, I'm not the accountant. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but you know, it's like, I'm the cool dad. And I think that's great. But to my daughter, I'm just dad. Yeah. And it took me a while to figure that out too. I was like, why is my daughter not impressed? I'm working with all her favorite rappers, you know? And she's like, yeah, I had Busta Rhymes sing happy birthday to my kid on the phone. You know, like, she's like, who the fuck was that? I'm like, I love you, Busta. I love you to death. But it's like, yeah, it's like, she's like, well, who's that?
But what she does remember is when you you showed up to the recital instead of going to 305 day.
Yo, facts. She remembers the first time I took her to Disney World at 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? She remembers that shit. You know,
Exactly.
like, that. I don't know, man. I go off on tangents, bro.
Nah,
I
dude.
apologize.
You
if
have
I-
a podcast, right? Probably that's why.
Yeah. No, I also like I spend a lot of time in front of a computer.
Yeah.
So I feel like I get unwired and I get thrown back into society,
Yeah,
and
that's how
nobody
it
gives me
is.
like a mission. So I'm just like trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be next and shit.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes after I'm on the computer for hours, I just gotta go on a walk because I have to like reassemble myself. I'm like, I don't understand.
Nah, I
like,
work out, bro.
Yeah.
I don't be all David Goggins and shit, but stay hard, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I do that in the morning to then go on the computer
Yeah.
to let it out first.
And pause just in case.
Well, yo, I'll leave you with this last question. What does creativity mean to you?
The ability to be and connect with human beings on a very deeply personal level around the world and hopefully touch somebody through something you've been through. I think that's the beauty of what the fuck is creativity? I don't know. That's a trick question, though.
That was a pretty good answer.
I mean, that's why I do it, though.
Right. That's what it means to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
I do it because if I could inspire somebody else to be creative and drive an emotional response out of somebody, I think that's awesome. Like when you one of the coolest things, sorry, my phone rang. One of the coolest things I've heard in a while was when you sat down and said, "Yo, when I was a kid, you gave me my first drop." You know, like that meant a lot to me because I was able to be a positive impact on your life at that point.
And it kept me going forward. Like, oh, maybe this isn't stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So I think those kind of things are when I go out and somebody says, "Yo, like, you know, this video really meant something to me," or you know, my buddy, there's a guy I know that I met him because he tattooed my lyrics on his back.
Wow.
Because he said my lyrics like saved him from like, I don't know from what. I don't want to be too dramatic or speak for him, but like he said it saved his life. And I was like, damn, dog. Like, so like if I could just do that for one person, and that's why like I teach kids for free sometimes. I'd be like, yo, what's up, kids? I'd go to the Weston Senior High. I've gone to New World. I've done for the United Way also, and I'm always teaching these kids of teaching them how to be creative. Because if I could just impact one kid, or if there's one kid that chooses to go outside that day and do something fucking stupid, or stay home and work on his little indie project, if he does that, I've done something positive. I've paid it forward. You know, so
It's amazing, bro. Well, yo, I appreciate you coming through. Thank
absolutely.
you
But
again.
thank you for having me. I had a great time, dude. It's cool.
that was amazing, dude. If you want to plug your socials or anything you got going on.
Garcia. Sorry. I'm always bad at this, yo. My Instagram handle is Garcia's World. My website is garciasvision.com. Check me out, reach out to me. And if anybody's watching this shit and I inspired you to go, do whatever you want to do and follow your dreams, and cool, I did my job. And if I piss any of you off, I don't fucking care. So let's go.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
No doubt, bro. Take it easy, man. Let's go.